So since we all understand that this session is also a part of the series that we are conducting when it comes to determining the strategic aspect of human resource management in organizations. So it was really interesting for me to look into this topic while preparing for this session. And I'm sure that you will be able to find some really valuable and interesting facts over here as well. Uh, if not, let me share a quick link with all of you regarding knowing and understanding what sustainable development goals are. I'm going to take you all quickly to this UN website. And I'm sure that most of you already know because I mean, not predicting, but understanding that me being a part of a third world country and like few of the participants as well, we know that there are so many things that need to be improved. So SDG goal, it's a very excellent initiative that is done by UN, and they try to focus on 17 different goals, which you are able to see on the screen. Obviously, we would not be going through all of them today because that is not our mandate, but we would be focusing on the ones specifically related to human resource management and what it can do in order to improve the societal aspect of things. It, over the years, this has been a discussion, an ongoing discussion that business practices should be focusing largely towards giving back to the society, because if they are only concerned and focus about making a lot of money, their overall employer brand and their overall impression in the market, in the end of in the eyes of the users and in the eyes of the uh, stakeholders, it generally declines because, as Gen Z and Gen Alpha are the new generations coming, and one of their common traits, most popular trait, is that they are more concerned about the planet. At least it is said so about their generation, if even if they are not. So, considering that planet becomes one of the leading concerns, therefore the organizations need to think about their participation, their role in terms of giving back to the society in terms of sustainability. So, what better start to take than to review the sustainable development goals. So I just wanted to give you an overview that what these sustainable development goals are. I hope that during that while I was giving you an overview, you may have been able to go through all the 17 goals. You can always look them up at the UN website, and you will find that there are many wonderful initiatives being taken since 2020, I assume. After 2020, the countries have been working a lot. The major stakeholders, the major countries are trying their best to ensure that they set themselves a target to achieve a certain specific sustainable development goal, even more than one, and then try to focus on them. So the companies, the organizations, the business entities can also learn a lot from them. So this is going to be one of the contexts regarding which we will be talking about today. So our agenda is, and as you already know, most of you are taking my session for, I assume that we have already met multiple times. So you can always use the chat box, share your opinion, ask your questions, share some valuable links. I mean, I'm also here to learn. So if you are during the session, if you are able to find something valuable by looking at YouTube or any other content, if you think is worth sharing, please use the chat box and we can always have a look at that. So our today's agenda is that obviously we will be talking about the role of sustainable development goals when it comes to human resource management. How can human resource management contribute towards sustainable development? We'll go through some real business examples. We'll talk about some strategic HR practices. And obviously, as we always do at the end of the session, we will be looking forward to the future outlook and what the companies should be willing to do. Now, as I've already mentioned that why societal impact matters, I've given you all an overview that focusing on the betterment of the society is directly relevant to the overall organizational or business goals. Because what business would want to run in a society which is not able to feed itself, which is not able to grow on itself, which is like facing challenges which include their economic downturn, poverty, challenges to their well-being, and other factors. So, what business would be able to survive? So, it's kind of a win-win situation for the businesses where they are not only focusing on their own uh, long run success, but also thinking about taking the society along as well. So businesses are looking to shift a bit from profit only objective to a more people, planet, and profit oriented strategies. This 3P strategy is a wonderful thing to understand, that focus on profit, but also focus on people and the planet. The concern for the planet is something that we have seen is to be very visible over the period of time, because uh, so many activists are talking about it. The UN is talking about it. Even the general consumer, they know about it, that the business practices should not be at the cost of damaging our planet. So that is why it is one of becoming one of the leading concerns or valuable thing for the business companies to review. Now, as I've already mentioned, this it is the demand of the stakeholders as well, not only the consumers, but all the government regulators, the competitors are even doing practices, sustainable practices. So this encourages the business to go for sustainable practices as well, so that it is able to compete in an effective manner. And HR serves as a bridge between the workforce and the society. So today we would not be talking about the CSR practices being done by the organization, but rather we would be focusing on the angle or aspect of human resource management towards contributing in making the planet a much better place to live in. Uh, as I've already mentioned, and I've shown you a slide that these are the 17 goals, and SDG 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, and 13. And we will be going through them one by one. These are the goals which are directly relevant to HR practices, and human resource management can play a significant role when it comes to ensuring implementation of these SDGs. So HR can and should, and it has got a huge role to play, since we understand that human resource management department serves as a business partner for the organizations, because it has a strategic role when it comes to policy formulation, when it comes to determining the future direction of an organization, like where it is supposed to go in 5, 10 years. So HR is now a part of those strategies, a part of that strategic planning, and a part of determining organization's long-term vision and mission. So it has to ensure that HR, that the core values of the business, they are aligned with social responsibility and sustainability. Similarly, since we understand that human resource management department is responsible for setting up a culture within the organization, so sustainability can be a core value for the businesses when it comes to ensuring that they have sustainable practices. So organization HR department can make sure that the culture is purpose driven, sustainability driven, and everybody is on board with this. All the employees, they know that whatever they are doing, they should have an element or an aspect of giving back to the society, and uh, having an aspect of sustainability. Now, HR also serves as a change agent in workforce behavior. And we all know that it's not only about cultural formation, but it is more about developing the employees. Now, training and development, but development in its true context is the main responsibility of human resource management department. So if there is a concern or a care for sustainability within the organizational practices, HR department can and should play a very significant role when it comes to aligning the core values of the employees with the targets like sustainability and environment friendliness. So let us talk a bit about the talent strategy and sustainable development goals. Like since recruitment and selection or staffing function or talent acquisition, this is like we are talking about the same HR function. The broader umbrella of this function is staffing function, in which HR is responsible for hiring the right person for the right job. So when it comes to understanding the right job, the development of positions should be in accordance with the sustainable goals as one of the priorities. Because obviously the main priority would be onto execute and determine the organizational requirement. Like if there is a finance manager, if there is a marketing manager, or our R&D department, depending upon the nature of the job, the primary aspect of announcing that job would be to be able to deliver a specific type of work. However, an element of sustainability, an element of people, profit, and planet, all these things should be there in while designing a job. So this means that the recruitment becomes a purpose-driven talent acquisition strategy. It is not only focusing on the right person for the right job, but there can be an aspect of having, by describing the right person may also include that that individual has a concern, care, and awareness regarding giving back to the society and being socially, aware regarding the sustainability practices. Job descriptions, while describing the right job, the job descriptions should also highlight sustainability as a key factor. This is something very interesting, very important. I would urge and request all of you to have a look at examples, including Unilever's Sustainable Living Plan, along with other examples from the HR departments, which may show you that how they are able to establish and determine uh, the sustainable practices in their organizations. There is prayer, Isha prayer going on right now. So you will be able to hear that in the background. Uh, the Muslims would know what it is, but for the rest, we have five call for prayers in a day. So this is like, since it's night here in Pakistan. So this is the nighttime prayer and it's the call. It's going to last for a couple of minutes. Uh, Employee well-being, yeah, well-being is the sustainable goal 3, and I've already mentioned in my start that I have done PhD in this area. Uh, Well-being of all the people is a primary concern in terms of sustainable development goals. Now, in a nutshell, as written on the screen, well-being means regarding the mental and physical health. And in the organizational context, apart from addition of all the HR practices, work-life balance can produce mental health, can promote positive mental health and support physical health as well. Because at the end of the day, work is work and life is life. So there should be a balance of it. Now, most organizations are trying very, I would say, interesting things like Google. They offer flexible timings in which they have blurred up the work-life balance, but they are trying to give the comfort to the employees that they can work in their own time, in their own space. So this is open for discussion. How many of you think that having flexible timings at work can increase your productivity? On the other hand, the typical traditional division of work is like 9 to 5, you have to do a job, and later on you can spend your time with your family and obviously on the weekends. So there are so many things, so many different things which contribute towards ensuring the well-being of the employees. But the important thing is the organization giving it due value? Does the organization care about the mental and physical health? This phenomena has been discussed and visited uh, during and after the time of COVID-19, because obviously we all understood that people were facing a threat to their life during the times of COVID-19. So there were lockdowns, people were not coming to work. So organizations, they really had to think about their practices. There was a discussion of downsizing going on, that most companies are laying off employees. They are letting go of their workplace, their work force to cut down their costs. But the question was that are they making the society better by doing this? And there are examples of companies who took the burden of additional cost and they still held on to the employees. Like us, I mean, I did my research on teaching and I found out that teachers have been very lucky throughout the time of COVID-19, because I'm not sure about the other countries, and Dr. Lambert would be able to share when he feels like doing it, that in Pakistan, the teachers were very lucky because we did not lose our jobs. We shifted to the online medium of instruction, and we were being paid. So during the lockdown, the educational system over here, at least in Pakistan and in other countries, many countries, it was not disturbed. So, but when it comes to other professions like being in airline industry, being a part of hospitality industry, or being a part of, I mean, so many other positions or jobs, there was a huge toll on the mental and physical health. So human resource management can play a very important critical role when it comes to ensuring that the well-being of the employees stay intact. This is a sustainable development goal as well. And since if HR has this priority, there are so many wonderful aspects to cover. There is an example you would want to look it up later. Google has collaborated with Novartis and initiated many wonderful and amazing well-being programs for the employees. So the overall concern is that the employees, they also know that since well-being is one of the sustainable development goals, so the employees know that the organization is not only about making profits, but it is contributing towards making the lives of employees better as well. Now, diversity and inclusion is another sustainable development goal, which is relevant to human resource management practices. Uh, since HR is facing a global challenge where people from all over the world are working for organizations, uh, I would say the movement of the workforce is quite common across borders. People, they do tend to work in other organizations based in other countries. Not only people, but even based on their gender, based on their ethnic backgrounds, based on their not only on geographic locations, but other factors as well. These contribute towards diversity. And one of the biggest challenges of HR department is to ensure that along with diversity, inclusion is considered as a key element. Like everybody feels that they are contributing valuably to the organizational cause. This does not become a factor that only a specific segment is being treated on a specific scale, but all the segments, all the possible segments which are there within the organization, they are given the due respect. They are treated equally. Equal pay policies are there. They are given opportunity to go into leadership roles. I give a example, a very frequent example I share with in my classes is the example of a big company like Coca-Cola. Like it has such a wonderful structure. Like a recent CEO of Coca-Cola beverages was Mukhtar Kent, a Turkish individual with a Turkish background. Now he became the CEO of the organization a few years back. Now he started working in Coca-Cola 20, 30 years ago as a salesman. Now, a position of a salesman is a very basic or an entry level position. So working as an entry level individual, if he is able to climb the ladders of the management in next 20 years and end up becoming a CEO or a top management individual, this shows that the organization has clear cut policies based on equality and based on rewarding for performance. So this shows that there is an opportunity for everyone to compete for the topmost position, because if one of them can become the CEO, this means that it is focusing a lot on diversity and inclusion. Now, an example of Accenture company can be given where it claims that it has achieved 50% gender balanced workforce. Now, this is something really amazing because in the context of HR, we hear about a concept which is called glass ceiling. I'm sure you guys would be knowing about it. The glass ceiling is considered as one of the invisible barriers for females to go to the top management positions. Uh, for in some organizations, like companies in Silicon Valley, the IT companies, it is said, it is present in the research literature that there are complaints that there seems to be a glass ceiling through which the employees, the females, they cannot excel and they cannot go to the top management. So it is going to be the target. So if Accenture has done it, that they have been able to achieve a 50% gender balanced workforce. So this means it is something quite inspiring. Now, as per the Sustainable Development Goal 8, the provision of a decent workplace environment or decent work practices is required in all the countries. And obviously, within the organizations, it is the primary responsibility of the Human Resource Management Department. We start with the example first, like Starbucks provides healthcare for part-time staff also. Now, this shows that there is no disparity, there is no difference, there is no discrimination between the part-time workers and the permanent workers, because health is like with everyone. You won't find this kind of care and concern for employees in many organizations, because they would want to focus largely on the people who are a permanent part of their structure. And usually companies, they deal with the part-time workers in a part-time manner. So companies like Starbucks, they are trying to go above and beyond when it comes to setting up standards. And most of the workforce in Starbucks, uh, because of their stores and outlet structure, is part based on part-time staff. So it's not that the company is only claiming to be offering healthcare services to 1% or 2% of the employees. I believe that around 30-40% of their employees are temporary and part-time because of the structure of their business, nature of their business. So if they are offering healthcare for them as well, this shows that Starbucks and companies who believe in decent work practices are committed to offering safe working environment, fairness in terms of offering salaries and benefit structures. And this definitely is an area regarding sustainability, which is focusing on uh, treating people with equality. And this is in continuation with the earlier mentioned sustainable goals. Uh, Provision of education and in context of organizations upskilling the employees. This can be related with the target of HR, like HR department can set up a goal for their organization that they will be developing the required skill set of all the employees by next 5 years maybe. So for that, they would want to have access to the training materials, they would want to have access to online courses and so on. Many companies, including IBM, including Google, including many training companies, what they are doing is and this has been done during the time of COVID restrictions, that they have made their own learning management systems in which employees, once they get enrolled, they are able to learn many wonderful things. They are able to upskill themselves, they are able to upgrade themselves, they are able to invest on their own selves, because something that an employee learns, it becomes a lifelong part of him or her. So wherever he or she goes, even if they leave the organization, the learning stays with them. So this is another important aspect in terms of sustainability, that a continuous focus should be on upskilling and educating the employees. In addition to all the mentioned goals, SDG 11 can be related with employee volunteering, in which the organizations should encourage the employees to go for voluntary activities, which can definitely be related to their business, or it can be related to their consumer segments as well, so that employees are encouraged to initiate and take part in voluntary activities, which obviously lead to the sustainable development goals. Encouraging staff in community projects is one way to do it. The example of a very famous and renowned organization, Salesforce, can be studied and reviewed, where it pays 7 paid volunteer days annually. Like you can actually get paid for a week or so, for 7 days, 7 working days, that is, if you engage yourself in a voluntary activity that is contributing towards making society a better place. Similarly, in terms of understanding SDG 13, now green HRM is something which is considered a very recently trending topic, and most people are actually working on it. Like organization like Patagonia, which is a adventure sportswear organization, and it links performance to environmental goals. Now, this is something very interesting because this is relevant with the organizational, the nature of the work that the organization is doing as well. Green HRM is a concept which focuses on the eco-friendly workplace practices. Now, I would want to hear from the audience, from the people who are listening. I would want you guys to use the chat box since we are able to send and receive messages. I would want you guys to think about the eco-friendly workplace practices that can be used within an organization. I would want you guys to think of an example and share in the chat box before we proceed further. I'll take a couple of minutes, and in the meantime, I would expect you guys to use the chat box and share what you think about the eco-friendly workplace practices that organizations can do. Maybe reducing plastic at work, like one of the practices may be that their office is a plastic free zone. I'm sure that it already is in most developed countries, but since I drink from a plastic bottle, so a company and organization can focus on this thing that we will go for a plastic free cafeteria and a plastic free office. So this means no material, no item, nothing can be of plastic. Is it practical or not? I want to hear your opinion. So use the chat box because otherwise it will seem that I'm talking to myself for last 30 minutes or so. So I would want to hear from you guys. The chat box is open. What other eco-friendly workplace practices can there be? Yeah, go on. Use the chat box. Uh, all right, you can raise your hands, but I would, it will be great if we take questions and comments at the end, the verbal comments, obviously. In the meantime, you can use the chat box and type something that you find worth sharing, something interesting, and I would love to read it. Still waiting in the chat box. One more minute for all of you. What can be different eco-friendly workplace? How about reducing paper usage within an organization? Like going, it's a very simple and a basic thing that trying to eliminate the extra usage of work. I'm not sure that it, you know, at our university, we are still going with the traditional exam system before our final, and there are around 6,000 students studying in our university, and each student is studying at least 5 to 6 courses. So this means that around 6,000 multiplied by 5, that amounts to 30,000. So 30,000 exam sheets are required for the final exam. And we are talking about a sheet that has 10 leaflets. So this is the bare minimum. Like then there are extra sheets, then there are question papers, then there are other envelopes for those sheets. So this is a lot of paper being consumed, and I've been raising my voice on that. Um, I'm just focusing on the fact that maybe we should find a e method, an electronic method of taking exams. Uh, All right. Thank you, Elvin, for sharing that. I think it will be quite interesting to receive documents and files only online. Yeah, that's right. The extra usage of plastic is possible in my country. Plastic is forbidden and Achha, very good. That's pretty nice. And yes, Dr. Lambert, sharing rides to work. Wonderful. Carpooling. That is something that is going to help the planet in many ways. Truly so. Doing southing of dirts, putting plastic in different container. Yeah, that's right. That's good. So thank you so much for sharing. So that's a really wonderful initiatives. We can always look for more similar initiatives that can be done within the organization. And it's good to raise your voice, raise your concern, and give suggestion to the organization to minimize the usage of a natural, not but of resources which can be avoided. Since we have I guess that MBs and TBs is kind of a resource that we would want to use rather than cutting down trees and making paper or even using recycled paper for that matter. Uh, I just did the maths for the very first time regarding the number of sheets that we are using twice a year because we have a semester system. So, I mean, using 35,000 sheets, having 10 leaflets, this means around 350,000 papers being consumed. Oh my God, that is a lot of paper going at the cost of education, a lot of paper. Okay, so another aspect of sustainable development goal in collaboration with HR can be regarding having ethical leadership in which the HR department can ensure that all the practices that are being done within the organization follow a code of conduct. They are under a code of ethics because we all understand that ethics is a bit different than having a law because a law is something clear cut. However, ethic is something that has a gray area and usually becomes a personal choice regarding what to do and what not to do. So the organizations should be encouraging ethical leadership and ethical practices within the environment, within the organization, so that everyone knows that they are responsible, they are answerable, and they are accountable for what they are doing, what they are saying, and the practices and the rules and regulation systems and the environment should be providing a kind of a situation for the employees and particularly the leaders so they are able to make sure that everything stays within that. Another aspect of sustainable development goal is it encourages the partnerships among different organizations. Now, as we understand that in order to take up the issues pertaining to the planet, obviously no organization would be able to do everything on its own because of their financial restrictions and so on. So they can partner with other organizations also. HR should be focusing on developing partnerships with NGOs and universities. And why are we talking about non-governmental organizations and universities? Because you are able to find many volunteers, you are able to find an already developed structure to make sure that you become a part of a sustainable practice that is already going on rather than starting a new business venture or a new section altogether. You would want to jump in using your finances, using your resources, using your capabilities to join an existing organization, an existing NGO maybe, or finding, because universities, they do a lot of research in developing areas. I remember that in my university, I mean, it's something pretty common, but like 10, 15 years ago, there was a research going on, a project going on regarding conservation of rainwater. Uh, the place there where I live in Abbottabad, it's a hilly area, a mountain waste area. It's very beautiful. It's a wonderful valley. These days, it is the end of summer, so everything is like the UV, the sunshine is pretty like top notch, and everything looks so bright. Uh, uh, so grateful for that. Uh, so this project regarding rainwater conservation was going on in our university as a student project, in which the civil engineering department and the development studies department were collaborating in trying to make sure that how can we design buildings in ways that the rainwater is conserved and being used for like it's stored and used later on. Unfortunately, just stayed a project. I do remember that there were few organizations, business organizations, that joined hands with them as well. But unfortunately, uh, there was not a practical outcome of this project. So this year we had a lot of rains. Unfortunately, there was flood in our country as well. You may have heard it on the news, I mean, probably, but I mean, there's so much going on in this world, so many calamities, unfortunately. But there was flood in Pakistan. So, and previous year we were talking about water shortage. So this seems like a very conflicting thing. So unfortunately, still we are not doing anything when it comes to conservation of rainwater and using it for many other purposes, including provision of water supply to the other cities, maybe using it for agricultural purposes and so on. So the point of this whole story is that universities can play a very significant role because the companies, they have funding, they have resources, they have financial, they have capital, they have expertise, they have partnerships, linkages, and the universities have research, they have ideas. So when they bridge together, this can enable them to work on SDG goal number 17. And obviously, it can eventually lead towards benefiting the community. As Microsoft HR has aligned with NGOs for digital inclusion, this is something that they are doing. SDG 10 can also be considered as a factor where inclusivity in terms of hiring, offering support to disabled, specially abled people, uh, because inequality is something which is becoming which not becoming, but is already an issue that we face in developing countries, underdeveloped countries. So this is one of the sustainable goals as well. So to reduce inequality. So big companies, they would want to encourage people to come on board rather than focusing on a specific background, rather than focusing on uh, only people who are fit enough, I would say. They would want to give opportunity to all individuals. This contributes towards employer branding as well. Now, I have conducted a session already on employer branding. This is something very important because the employers, in terms of managing their impression, and they're managing their impression in front of the stakeholders in uh, not only the competitors in the industry, but and not only for the customers for their profits only, but for the future workforce as well. Employer branding is something that is very significant when it comes to establishing standards for the future workforce to look up to. I mean, if you want to attract top talent in the world, you would want to make sure that your company practices are top notch. And since we know that after like 5, 10 years, there is only going to be Gen Z, which is going to be like in 10 or 15 years or so, it is going to be Gen Z only, which is going to be a significant part of the organization. So since we know that one of the leading preference or liking of Gen Z is to be environmentally aware, be cautious about sustainable practices. So this becomes mandatory, compulsory for the organizations to have a purpose-driven culture, an environment which supports sustainability, a mindset, a goal that is encouraged towards having sustainable business practices, so that they are able to attract not only the millennials, but Gen Z and later on Gen Alpha as well. Now, sustainability in future can be considered as a talent magnet. Like it attracts the top talent from the world. I mean, ask yourselves that if you want to be a part of an organization, wouldn't you prefer to join an organization that is not only giving you decent salary and career growth and all the wonderful things that you are looking for, but in addition to all these things, it is also uh, doing something wonderful for the planet. I mean, you'll feel happy as a top talent, you will feel happy to be a part of such organization. Now, there are certain HR metrics that can be used to measure the impact of sustainable practices uh, and to track the key performance indicators. It is important for the organization to not only take sustainable practices as an idea only, Like I've seen this thing happening that there are many organizations which just have a 6 months seminar or maybe a once in a year festival or a get together regarding talking about sustainable practices and not actually doing anything. So HR would have to establish that the sustainable practices become a key part of day-to-day activities within the organization, and they are embedded in the KPIs, key performance indicators as well. Like if the organization evaluates performance on a monthly basis or on a 6 months basis or on a yearly basis, they are able to understand that what is the level of understanding and implementation of the sustainable practices that we are trying to inculcate, that we are trying to add within our working systems. Uh, for example, as mentioned by Dr. Lambert, that environment friendliness it includes carbon emissions, and when it comes to the work in within the office, carbon footprint per employee can also be measured when it comes to HR matrices. So a company may be able to reward the employees based on their decreased level of carbon footprints. I mean, to be honest, let me tell you that I'm the one who I think has I've never taken stationery from our and as a teacher I have never taken rims, paper rims, or yeah, I don't recall because I try to minimize the photocopies and the like printing of papers, and I would want to stick to digital mediums. It's been a while since I took a written assignment uh, from the students, or I may have asked them to use a paper in doing something because I do it online. I am in a in-person teaching mode, but just saying. All right. So, how can this contribute to another HR function of performance management? As I've already mentioned, that sustainability should be embedded in the performance management systems. It should be included in the appraisals. I mean, employees should be encouraged. Like, if you are to evaluate the employees on a like if there are 100 marks on which you are going to evaluate your employees. So you maybe can give 2 or 3 marks or even 5 marks to sustainable practices. So if an employee claims in their performance appraisal that they have been doing a sustainable practice, something green in terms of working for the organization, so they may be able to get marks for that, and that may increase their appraisals. We need to understand that HR, human resource management. I believe since I'm an HR instructor. I'm specialized in HR, so I believe that HR serves as a source of competitive advantage for the organization, and human resource management department can impact the overall environment of the organization, the overall performance measures, standards of the organization. It can have a very positive impact over how people actually feel, what is their engagement level, what is their job satisfaction and commitment level, and how productive do they really feel. So HR serves as a change agent within the organization. So it is the responsibility of HR to inculcate or to encourage or to promote a culture of sustainability in everything that they do. I mean, starting from small steps towards going bigger. I mean, you can always choose suppliers of your business who are environment friendly. You can set up your retail outlets based on the fact that your warehouses, your stores based on sustainable practices. I mean, there are so many things. And this creates a very good impression of the organization. When you will review this concept, you will understand that many renowned organizations claim sustainable practices as something that they are doing and they are proud of, and they should be proud of it, and they already claim it. However, there are always challenges like financial constraints, budget limitations, restrictions is a definitive part of implementing sustainable practices because I mean shifting to a different medium, trying new things. In the long run, I would suggest that it will save them a lot of money. But to initiate certain practices, the companies, they find it, they hesitate to start those things because of the budget constraints. Sometimes the leadership is not quite, uh, I would say, not convinced that these practices are actually going to contribute towards the betterment of the organization. Unfortunately, people and planet still seems to be least of the concerns for many businesses, unfortunately. They may claim in their annual reports and on their medias that we are green, we are focusing on green practices, but in reality, it still may be in a distant future that where they are going to start doing their green practices. And it also depends on the short and long term focus, because sustainability is something that is going to be long, and it gives returns in long term. It does not prove beneficial right away. Right away, there is going to be requirement of putting in additional cost and investing more on it. But in the long term, it will prove to give many benefits. So, what is the solution? There should be leadership should firstly be uh, taken on board to understand and realize that sustainable and green practices should be a top priority, because it contributes towards business efficiency and effectiveness as well. It is not only about doing something that is not relevant to a business, but it also contributes towards the business efficiency. As we have seen that it can contributes towards value chain, like the companies may be able to squeeze more profits in their uh, systems rather than just to invest cost on it. Sorry. So, and HR should also, obviously, we understand that HR's role should be more strategic in nature, and it should have a, I would say, it should have a cause listed as top priority to inculcate corporate sustainability into the overall corporate strategy. And sustainable practices within the organization should always be rewarded, promoted, encouraged, and recognized. So the ideas can come from anywhere. The ideas can come from any segment, any unit of the organization, but they should be encouraged. Uh, as we understand that HR, human resource management, it the role of this is going to be it'll serve as a driver of sustainable workplace practices, and these sustainable practices will obviously help in reporting and integrating of HR data. The future of HR is largely focused on making sure that sustainable practices are there. A quick summary of what we have talked about today, that human resource management can serve as a link between the business and the society. It can directly contribute towards health, education, work, inclusion, and planet. These are all part of sustainable development goals. But importantly, HR needs to be a strategic partner in the businesses so that it can efficiently and effectively play a role. HR practitioners, professionals working in the organizations should be focusing on aligning all the activities with sustainable development goals while encouraging the leadership to follow the same. And a purpose driven workforce. A purpose is not only profit, a purpose should be people, planet, and profit.